An innocent British grandmother was detained by ICE for 6 weeks in prison in shackles because, oh, wait till you hear this story. This is sickening, guys, what we did and what the Brits did. The British government blew her off and left her alone. Karen Newton, 65-year-old grandmother, decided to take the trip of a lifetime. It's like freaking Westworld, the trip of a lifetime to America and Canada. So she goes with her husband, who's 66. They're retired. They go to the U.S. They go to Yellowstone. They see the geysers. They're so excited. They had so much fun. They decide to go to Canada. They get a car. They get to the border, and the Canadians say, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't fill out the right paperwork to bring a car across. We've got to send you back to America. So they turn around and the Americans say, wait a minute. And they check the husband's visa had expired already, right? Now, bad that his visa expired. And she basically thought, oh, well, she goes, he's a Brit. Hopefully he'll be okay. But her visa was still fine, her tourist visa. Well, they grabbed both of them because she was his accomplice, they said. And she's like, accomplice? What did I do? They take them and imprison them for 6 weeks. Shackles. They put shackles on their wrists, shackles on their waist, shackles on their feet. You know the things where they're all handcuffed and the chain so you walk like a penguin? British grandmother. They imprisoned her for 6 weeks, didn't let her see her husband for 3 weeks, never once told her what she did. The only thing they said was, you were his accomplice. She goes, what do you mean I'm his accomplice? She goes, I've got my visa. They goes, you helped him pack his luggage. Guys, she slept on the floor of her prison cell for 6 weeks. And she said, and by the way, she said, don't go to this country. Don't ever go to America while Donald Trump is there. And she's right. I have warned people about this. People said, what's the worst that could happen? Well, the worst that could happen is you get detained for, and by the way, she wasn't arrested, so she doesn't get a lawyer. She didn't have a right to an attorney even because she wasn't arrested. She was just simply detained for a short while by ICE. And the Supreme Court is making this legal. This is what we're doing to people. And by the way, Americans, big study now from CNN, the number of Americans getting arrested and detained by ICE, huge growing number of innocent Americans getting grabbed by ICE now because you look like a foreigner. But this is what we did. 65-year-old grandmother here on a legal tourist visa for the trip of a lifetime, and we threw her in prison for 6 weeks, couldn't call anybody, couldn't call a lawyer because her husband's visa had expired. So they threw her in prison for 6 weeks. Anybody who comes to this country now, business or pleasure, is nuts. This is sick.
So I've canceled my next trip to the United States. I was meant to be going there in later April. I was looking forward to it as well, like going to Boston, New England, beautiful places, lovely people. In fact, I even have both friends and actually some relatives in Maine, but I've canceled it because ICE or whatever the hell it is detaining people. I mean, they detained a young Canadian for 10 days. They apparently arrested a bunch of Germans recently. They're going through people's phones. Like, this is meant to be, the United States is meant to be the beacon of democracy and freedom and so forth. Well, it is anything but. This is what fascism actually looks like. It is awful in North Korea, and it is awful in Saudi Arabia, and it is awful in Iran. So we can all be honest about that. But when that sort of thing settles in to what we consider to be the free world, that is the erosion of any value that we actually stand for. So I bring business to the United States, right? I run tours. Well, I'm not going to now. It's shocking, but I woke up 3 days in a row worrying about flying down there. And then I talked to someone I know kind of on the inside who said, don't fly in if you're not an American citizen. Like, this is how terrible it is at the moment. So it's sad and it's shocking, but hey, I'm off to Europe in a few days. I can fly down to South America, a lot of beautiful places. And American friends are welcome up here, absolutely. But if you're going to come up and wave a Trump flag, then, don't bother.
Do not come to the United States. A 65-year-old British tourist with a valid tourist visa was locked up in ICE detention for 6 weeks with no idea why she was in there because she hadn't broken any laws. And because she wanted to get out of there, she had agreed after 3 days in detention for self-removal, which waived her right to see a judge and meant she couldn't return to the United States for up to 10 years. Karen Newton and her husband Bill didn't think that they would have any issues with ICE when they planned their road trip through the American West, but when they tried to cross into Canada, the Canadian officials told them they didn't have the right paperwork to take their car with them. So when they got sent back into the U.S. officials discovered that Bill's visa was expired. And here's the truly horrifying part. Karen was told that she was being locked up because she was guilty by association. She had violated the terms of her B-2 tourist visa by helping her husband pack for their trip. 6 weeks in prison. She didn't know when she was going to get out, didn't know what time of day it was, didn't know for most of the time how her husband was, didn't have a lawyer because she was detained and not arrested, and given a top bunk at age 65 that she couldn't get into, so she slept on the floor. And why in reality? Karen was told by multiple sources that ICE agents are given a bonus for every person that they detain.
Hi guys, welcome back to Global Info with T. This is where we just say it the way we think and how we feel about it, respecting people's choices and opinions, but nonetheless, we're all free to have our opinions, right? So yes, this is one place you are free to air your opinion respectfully, and everyone has right to say their mind, right?
So we arrived in Atlanta from our Virgin flight, and we were sat by the gates for our flight to Miami, which, you know, American Airlines, quite a reliable airline, and everyone's phone started going off, and then everyone's notification said flight delayed till 8 a.m. the next morning. Basically, they said, on the flight over, the plane lost one of its engines, so they're going to need to fix that overnight because this isn't a American Airlines base. It's not looking good. We're not quite sure what we're going to do yet. We're in a queue.
Yeah, we're in a queue, and hopefully they'll tell us at the front of the queue what we can do.
While MAGA diehards keep chanting, "We don't care," every time someone points out the cost of Donald Trump's policies, international tourists are quietly delivering the one response that matters in Trump's America, which is they're not coming to the United States for vacations. We have new data now from the World Travel and Tourism Council. The U.S. is on track to lose over $12 billion in international travel spending this year. That's a decline of 7%. It's not because suddenly the sand on the beaches is no good. It's not because the theme parks got rid of everybody's favorite ride. It's because the rest of the world sees what the United States under Donald Trump has become: expensive, hostile, and unstable. And they're voting with their passports. Of the 184 countries surveyed, the U.S. is the only one with an absolute decline in international visitor spending. According to the WTTC's CEO, quote, "The U.S. has firmly got a 'we're not open for business' sign right now." And that's correct. Germany has updated its travel advisory after several Germans were detained at the U.S. border. Canada, which used to be exempt from most of the short-term visa requirements, now has to register and submit fingerprints for any visit longer than 30 days. That's new under Donald Trump. You've got Canadian Airlines canceling routes due to declining demand. Vehicle traffic at land crossings is down significantly from Canada. So these are not anecdotes. This is an economic warning siren. The largest travel economy in the world is bleeding visitors.
A historic blizzard in the Northeast is impacting people there on the ground and also in the air. There are many flights that were canceled today. We're talking about 6,100 according to FlightAware. And here at SFO, all the flights to the New York area, including Newark, canceled. Coming up here on NBC Bay Area at 11, we meet a woman from Manhattan who was here in the Bay Area celebrating her aunt's 95th birthday, but now she's trying to get back to her home. This is after cancellations and hotel stays. We'll tell you about her creative solution to try to get back to the East Coast. Coming up tonight on NBC Bay Area at 11. The Washington Post spoke with a Canadian woman. Her name is Phyllis LeBlanc. She runs a company called PT Tours. She runs bus tours from Canada into the U.S. LeBlanc canceled previously scheduled tours, including one that she's been offering for over a decade. According to LeBlanc, the reason she did this was because Canadian customers were calling her and they were all canceling their trips.
This started in late January. So LeBlanc ended up saying, forget it. She feared losing all of her hotel deposits. LeBlanc said that her customers, quote, were uncertain what was going to happen in the States. They didn't feel comfortable. With all the news going on, people are afraid. A travel agency called Flight Center Travel Group, also based in Canada, they reported a 40% decrease in bookings to the U.S. in the month of February. And they also had about 20% of their previously booked trips canceled. They said Canadians are choosing to go to Mexico, they're going to the Caribbean. So this is all driving down numbers in the U.S. This is destroying our tourism industry and everything related to it.
One of the things that Republicans promised us when they took over the House, the Senate, the White House, everything, they're like, no more government losing money. We're going to have a prosperous government. We're going to make the cuts we need to. We're going to balance the budget, and the government is going to be wealthy. So wealthy that Donald Trump said, we're going to start a sovereign wealth fund, right? We're going to have so much money, we're going to have to put it in a savings account for the first time ever. Oh boy, just money coming out the wazoo. Well, it turns out, according to reports this week, Donald Trump has already spent $155 billion more than Biden had at this point in his presidency. Elon Musk readjusted his figures to say we're not going to be able to save $2 trillion. We might save $150 billion, which has already been offset by the fact that Trump increased spending by $155 billion. So we're still losing money. But according to the financial analysts at Goldman Sachs, the U.S. economy is about to lose a lot more money than that. In fact, we've already